the Pod Network Entertainment.
What's going on? This is Xavier Woods, a.k.a. Austin Creed.
Welcome to the big time!
Hello, WWE Universe in the Philippines. This is Charlotte.
You know your damn role and shut your damn mouth.
Hey everyone, this is Jeff Cobb.
I have to finish the story.
We are pretty deadly. Yes, boy. Yes, boy.
Hello, my name is Ilya Dragunov, the Star.
Bang! The sniper is shooting you down. This is TMDK's Robbie Eagles, and you are listening to the Wrestling Podcast.
You are listening to the longest running weekly episodic Filipino wrestling podcast. This is the Wrestling Podcast. I'm Romaran. That's Emile, not the right beside me. And a bunch of our co-hosts are not here because they have a bunch of obligations and commitments that they have to honor. Kasi syempre, tumataas ang presyo ng bigas. Tumataas din ang presyo ng gin. So, gotta work hard. How are you, Emile?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well here in Naga. Unlike in Metro Manila, sobrang init dito. But it's fine. It's fiesta season here and I'm gonna eat a lot this weekend. So, I'm doing well.
Emile will be here next week. Syempre, meron tayong event. We'll talk about that in a bit. But before that, syempre, we have... let's get into a little bit of housekeeping here, some admin work. Emile, we have the Patreon program, and please tell the people what is in store for them if they sign up and support us.
All right, so there's a lot of benefits if you join in on our Patreon program at patreon.com/wrestling podcast. Again, first low is $5 or 260 to 270 pesos in our local currency. Of course, you'll get to join in on our Discord community where you can interact with your fellow podcasts and talk to us about wrestling. But you can also talk to us about everything and anything under the sun. So you can shit talk with us, have fun, and all that. Also, with our pasabays, which, again, we're doing something new in the last few months. But if you join in on our Patreon, you'll get some, kasi we do have this service fees, and if you join in, you'll get some friendly rates on those service fees. Also, you'll get the review content of the weekly wrestling shows courtesy of Raw and Rowan ASH, like Raw, SmackDown, Dynamite, Collision, NXT, and everything. And also some local wrestling shows as well, courtesy of Rowan. And by subscribing to our Patreon, you're supporting everything that we do here in the podcast. So again, please subscribe to our Patreon at patreon.com/the Wrestling Podcast.
Hell yeah. Gotta answer a few questions here. Asan po si Sir Stan C? Sir Stan C is busy doing a new opportunity. He's seizing a new opportunity, possibly because of his sudden rise in popularity after the FIBA World Cup hosting stint. So, God bless you na lang siya. Hope the best for him in his future endeavors. So, I'm sorry, Ina, that Emile and I are not enough for you. We're doing our best, So we got to hold down the fort every Thursday, Speaking of the pasabays, the shipments have started coming in, but mostly from WWE shop. So you've seen our patron MJ, who benefited from yung preferential rates namin on service fees. We'll post also tomorrow pictures from a friend of the podcast, Mr. Stanley Chi, who has ordered quite a bit of t-shirts from WWE shop. So if he likes it, it's legit, and that we deliver, right? So stay tuned for that. And next time, we're almost about to open a new batch of pasabays, and if you guys want yung legit merch from WWE shop, Shop AEW, Pro Wrestling Tees, and other online stores, really, I'll show you what I also bought from a store that's different from these places. So if it can be bought online and shipped to the US, we can order it for you. Yeah. And then, syempre, we also have events. We have the Wrestling Quiz Night that we are hosting, and Chino is specifically spearheading here. He's created the questions for all of you. It's going to be next week, next Saturday, September 23 at 8 p.m. It's going to be held at Hobby Stadium. If you haven't been to Hobby Stadium yet, it's along Doña Hemedy Street, corner E. Rodriguez Avenue in Quezon City. It's around New Manila. And tickets are at 350 pesos. You have one free iced tea. We are putting up prizes from Hobbyline Toy Store, which is giving away a sensational Sherry action figure. We have Everybody's Toys and Collectibles, who is giving away a couple of WWE t-shirts. And also we have a free box of WWE trading cards and some Hobby Stadium GCs from Where Else Hobby Stadium. So please go by, come by, walk in. You can just buy the tickets at the door. Bring a friend, bring a group, bring as many people as you can. You can play together or you can play solo. And maraming kaming prizes up for grabs. So, you can also get to hang out with us if you don't want to play and feel the pressure of winning these cool prizes as well. You just hang out and vibe with the fellow wrestling fans in the room. I have it in good authority that at least one Manila Wrestling Federation wrestler is dropping by just to hang out, because it's also the day before our next event, which is Tuloy ang Laban at Mandala Park. So, we'll talk about that a little later on during the plugs. So stay tuned. Again, Hobby Stadium, September 23, next Saturday, 8 p.m. And we hope to see you there. Kasi, syempre, let's all have fun. We are building up back the wrestling community with events like these. And speaking of events like these, syempre, as part of our Patreon, we also have an upcoming watch party. Kasi I just found out that NXT No Mercy is actually a premium live event. We don't have a graphic up here, but it's going to be on October 1, rather. That's a Sunday, because the show is September 30 U.S. time. It's going to be at 8 a.m. We'll just have fun and watch it live on Discord via the WWE Network, which we have. And you can subscribe to our Patreon, as Emile said earlier, for as low as $5, around 275 pesos. You can, again, get the benefits that Emile listed down and watch the show live with us. It's going to be fun. NXT is so much fun, guys. If you haven't been watching NXT every week, super, super fun. Halos walang tapon ang cards nila. All right. Before we get into the main topics of this week, we just want to do a few shout outs here. First, we have our listener, Henry, who is a brother of one of our patrons. He goes by Ray Mastrio on our Discord server. He says that because of the podcast, he has been caught up with wrestling and is now watching it again after a break from it. So we are glad that you have used our show to bring you back into the fun world of wrestling. Maraming salamat. We thank you as well for listening to us. Then also we are shouting out friend of the podcast, Ardo Miravalles, who is celebrating his birthday today. For those who might not have heard his episode so many years ago, Ardo was one of the first people that we interviewed who was able to go to WrestleMania. So he told us a story and he showed us how to go to WrestleMania, what he prepared, how much he prepared. And since then, a bunch of our friends have been able to make the pilgrimage to WrestleMania in the US as well. Lastly, we are shouting out friend of the podcast and Philippine wrestling alumnus as of now, Ken Warren, who has made his professional wrestling debut in the Great White North in Canada A. I'm not quite sure where. Probably somewhere around Ontario. It's a huge feat. I believe, no, he's not the first local homegrown Philippine wrestler to make it to North America, diba? But I believe he might be no, not also. I believe Zayden Trudeau has also wrestled in Canada. So, yes, Glendale's right. Ken Warren's trading card has been certified in the US. So, that's a big deal. He's the first Filipino wrestler to have his card certified, legit graded. So big time yan, legit na yan. So maybe one day we can see him here again. Until then, you can probably fly to Canada and go watch him. I know friend of the podcast, Amon Agbisit, can likely see him there if he is nearby. All right. Enough of the shout outs. Let's start with the big news of the week. Babyface producer Jasper, let's put it on. TKO is official. Last Monday, September 11, 2023, was the last day that a McMahon has owned the company that would become the World Wrestling and Entertainment, or just WWE. So for 50 years, it was under the ownership of a McMahon in the McMahon family. Now it is under the ownership of Endeavor. They have merged with UFC, and it's a whole new ball game. It's a whole new company. As is the case with most companies headed by Ari Emanuel. Tama ba, Ari Emanuel?
Yes, Ari Emanuel. That's the name of the guy.
Right. So what he usually does with these is that he leaves the people who know how to run the business in charge. So because of that, Triple H is still head of creative, and Vince McMahon, according to Nick Khan, was brought on to put the sale through, and then Endeavor themselves wanted Vince to stay on as chairman. So for now, we know that Triple H is running creative, but we don't know for how long is the case. Emile, what are your thoughts on the new regime, the new era of WWE and UFC?
Again, I never thought I would see the day that a McMahon is not going to be the owner of WWE. Say, it's a family business. Like, I thought it's going to be passed down to to Shane or Stephanie, and then it's going to be passed down again to the next generation. Pero this happened, and it's a new era, pero at the same time, things are going good on that. And things are going good with WWE as of right now. Business is booming for WWE. Again, tinawag nga natin to na next wrestling boom, diba? So, all things considered, everything is fine. It looks like a medyo good start yung ownership ng Endeavor to WWE.
This is technically before they started, but rumors have also said that Vince made changes to this week's Raw, which is why it wasn't all that. Pero let's see. Kasi even though they want Vince in position, syempre Triple H's era has brought in the great business and has broken records that Vince hasn't done so in almost decades, diba? So I don't know what it means as well. I don't know how it's gonna be different for WWE and for UFC. I don't know if they're gonna do crossover events, but what do you think of that, Emile? I don't know if you watch MMA. I don't, but do you think that's a good idea? Because I know MMA fans don't like wrestling.
Yun na nga eh. Kasi I saw a statement. I don't know by who, but I saw the statement on Twitter. Like, medyo nagkumalat siya na, the hope is that at the end of all of this, UFC fans are going to be WWE fans and vice versa, that's going to be really difficult. Kasi they're two different products eh. So I don't know about cross promotion. Like, I don't know about all that as of right now, kasi I don't see it as a successful venture if they do that. Pero I just hope things stays the same for the most part. Like, siguro the only fear or the only concern I have is if what I'm hearing are true, or from hearing will happen, is that yung pay-per-views are gonna be back to yung price niya from before the network, which is, that's sobrang magiging sobrang magiging bummer kasi we have been enjoying pay-per-views or PLEs at the price that
the thing about that kasi is yung PPV prices are always in the States. So yung mga $60 pay-per-views, $50 pay-per-views, that's a States thing. We've never gotten those here. I think we do have sometimes, but it didn't work. So they know that they had to try something different in the Philippines. That's why we had Jack TV airing pay-per-views for free, where we had Studio 23 airing them after delays. And now we have the network. So I am willing to be more optimistic na hindi siya mag-iiba masyado dito kasi it's a different market, and if you price it at what $60 every month, then nobody's gonna come watch it.
Yeah, yun na nga eh. So that's the hope. That's the hope though. So but as of right now, very optimistic naman ako with this move, and hope nothing much change kasi WWE is really on a right path as of now. Say they've been breaking records. This has been the most relevant they have been since like what 20 or 15 years ago, I think so.
Yeah, Glendale's right. I don't think the stars are going to be released, but I think if ever, corporate employees might be the one to take the hit. Kasi pag ganun kasi, yung redundancies is in the back end and the corporate end. Obviously, WWE and UFC stars aren't going to be redundant with each other. Obviously, kasi WWE is not MMA. Well, you have Shayna Baszler and Matt Riddle, diba? But you know they're not going to be fighting in UFC anytime soon. So yun lang naman. I really don't know. I don't know how this is going to change the company. Expansions to other regions, I don't know as well. I don't know how that's going to affect yung plans for NXT Europe or other NXT Asia. I don't know. We don't have any info on that yet. Once we do, Shemper will talk about it here on the pod. Good. It's a new day. I don't think we've felt it just yet. Like NXT this week was like the first day under Endeavor, but it's still NXT. So I guess it's a good thing because nobody's making changes just yet. And for the most part, whatever Shawn Michaels is doing, he's still just doing that. I guess the real test will be SmackDown or next week's shows, diba?
Yes.
Yeah. Anything else you got to add, Emile? For this?
I think again, yung siguro the first immediate effect that maybe we will feel is the TV deals. Kasi again, they've been negotiating with a bunch of networks over the last year. So since kasi ata di ko alam kung mag-expire na yung deal nila with Fox, with SmackDown. So that is something that I think we need to watch out for in the next few coming months, if what will happen with that. If they're gonna stay with Fox or they're gonna go to other networks. So that is something that we need to watch out for.
Yep. Yeah, we'll see now. Stay tuned, guys. I mean, like, sit tight. I don't think anything big is gonna change, but we never know as well. TV deal in the Philippines, I don't know. I think whoever is running TV deals in other countries outside the US, parang naintindihan nila na TV just isn't as strong here anymore, especially cable. So that's why siguro WWE pulled out of TAP, diba? So it's, yes. I mean, like we said this before, if you guys want to keep WWE on TV, you guys got to watch it. Like, and this goes for anything. This goes for MWF. It goes for AEW and any other sports league. That's why the NBA is still on TV, because you guys watch it. So, but at the same time, if you guys are watching it, then there might be other people who just aren't, because for one reason or another, they don't have cable. They don't watch cable anymore. They can just watch anything online, which is true. Which is why I don't really support having WWE on TV anymore, because we all have kind of high-speed internet that we use to watch WWE programming online. Ayun. So AEW is also gone from Tap Go. What more AEW about when AEW is super weak here in the Philippines, right? People still think WWE is what's synonymous with pro wrestling. I've seen so many local AEW haters that I knew that wasn't going to survive, right? So, yun lang. It's sad, but I suggest you guys don't watch TV anymore. I mean, for wrestling, don't watch TV for wrestling. Sali na kayo sa Patreon namin.
Yes.
All right. That's it for our TKO talk. We have yet to see what comes after. But before we talk about what happened on Raw and SmackDown over the past week, let's take a break and hear from our fellow podcasts on the Pod Network. Yo, we're back. All right, so we have a bunch of stuff we have to talk about from WWE. First, one of the biggest things that came out of Raw this Monday, one Nia Jax Dina Fanene has come back to WWE. This is reported to be a Vince signing because it was the only new signing that came after Vince returned to his position as chairman or something. This is something. I forgot what Vince is doing now. But there was a hiring freeze, and then Nia was the first one to come back. And apparently, she's been signed for a while now. No, hindi siya bago bumaba, Glendale. It's the first signing after he came back on. So it's Nia Jax was signed already for a while, and then they just found the right time to debut her, which is this week, a week after Payback. So a bunch of things about this. People don't like it, syempre. They think that Nia's unsafe and dangerous. But before I talk about that, Emile, what do you think of this comeback?
It was a surprise, definitely, kasi we haven't seen her since. Although she did had a di ba nung Rumble, nung Royal Rumble she returned, or that was last year.
Yeah,
I think it was
she
this
did
year.
we did a one-off thing.
Yeah, she did a one-off thing.
She did a one-off thing. And then people were afraid that she was coming back. And then yeah.
Yeah, so I still don't know how to feel about this. I mean,
no, do you think
I think what?
No, I wanted to ask, do you think she's reckless? Do you think she's unsafe?
She definitely had history of may mga incidents na nangyari before involving her, like the Becky Lynch, where she I don't know if accidentally, pero she hit Becky on the nose, and she had a broken nose. That's why she had to miss that Survivor Series match against Ronda. And then that time where for some reason she and Charlotte starting hitting each other for real on a random Raw. She definitely had history, pero I really don't look at her as being reckless all of the time. Like, things happen in wrestling like, even though your purpose in when you wrestle is to not hurt your opponent for real, pero things do happen in the ring, and sometimes those are unavoidable. She hasn't really done aside from those two incidents, she hasn't really done anything for me to call her as a reckless worker.
Yeah. That's good, because me speaking as a worker, as a wrestler, I never really saw anything that made me think she was dangerous. Because I never got on the bandwagon that hated her, because people saw that she was doing moves and people were bumping the wrong way for them, and people ascribed that to her being dangerous. The thing about these things, these accusations, is that wrestling fans don't have a full understanding of what really is dangerous in the ring. Like, they see things, and then you see them land a certain way, and then you think right away she's working unsafely. She doesn't know what she's doing in there. But you don't know what they're doing in there either. You only have an idea of what they're doing in there, and your idea of it is what you see. The thing is so many people have been misled by the magic. By magic I mean yung illusions of what's happening in the ring. Because in a way, we're kind of street magicians. We're performers. We show you that something is dangerous when it's really not, and a lot of people buy into that, whether they realize it or not, and then they think it's still real. Damn it! So it's like David Blaine or Chris Angel, diba? So it's like, let me give you an example. It's like people watching the viral clip of JDL super kicking Crystal in the back of the head.
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna tell you right now, people in the industry are gonna get mad at me for this, but that kick is only just a quick push to the back of your head. So that's a light tap, and then you sell it like death. And people were so mad at it. People were so angry. That guy kicked that girl in the back of her head. He's so unsafe. And then I'm saying this because I was a victim of this. I fell for something like this as well. Back when, I'm going to tell the story in my podcast, but when I first watched Rex Lawin wrestle, I thought he was super unsafe and stiff because he was working a physically intense style, and I called him out online for being dangerous, and that's why he has his whole danger nickname now. Because he said about himself that he's not unsafe, he's dangerous, which is true. And then when I got to work him eventually, and I realized no, he's just really really intense, and everything I thought I knew about it was wrong because I was also a mark buying into it. And then you have people like thinking Ridge Holland is unsafe because he accidentally injured Big E when Big E was the one who didn't flip enough to land properly on a suplex. You got people thinking that Sammy Guevara is unsafe for his high angle DDT. Wrestling fans don't know what they're looking at a lot of the times. They are going by the prima facie evidence of what's happening in the ring, of the moves that people are taking in the ring. That's why I don't buy into this narrative that that Nia Jax is unsafe. Glendale said that, and Albert said that other wrestlers are speaking up for her. Like Asuka is speaking up for her, for Nia Jax. And who am I going to believe? Random Smarky Smark 0.111 on Twitter, or one of the elite wrestlers in WWE, whether man or woman, in Asuka, di ba? Siyempre maniniwala ako kay Asuka kasi siya yung naka-work ni Nia Jax, di ba? So, like, if these guys are the ones saying that Nia Jax is a safe worker, why wouldn't you believe them? Because you are a quote unquote expert on wrestling, and then you watched it. You watch a bunch of it a bunch of wrestling every week, and then you are suddenly knowledgeable in the goings on in the ring, which is something that I'm guilty of as well. But now I know better because I've actually done those things. I mean, not putting myself over, but just, a lot of these things are noise on the internet that, in a manner of speaking, is bad for Nia kasi syempre, they're tanking her reputation, and that's not fair to her as well. Diba? So that is my whole rant on this. And it's just unfair. Like, it's just unfair to saddle someone when they're literally doing their job to look as legit as possible. Diba? So what do you want? Do you want something to look fake, or do you want something to look real? So saan ba kami lulugar dito? Diba? So
yeah, when things get too real, magko-complain kayo sa internet about it. So, you have to draw the line somewhere.
Oh yeah, Glendale's right. If someone didn't watch Japanese wrestling, they'll say it's unsafe, which is right. Yeah, yeah. So that's if you are doubtful on Nia Jax now, just give her a chance. Because I'll be honest, like the legit physical stuff is kind of cool. So I have a soft spot for her. That it. And speaking of women's wrestling, we have one big time Becky Lynch winning the NXT championship, women's championship. And then Glendale asked a question about this in the pre-show. What do you think about main roster stars going down to NXT and winning an NXT championship? Does it make them look bad because they had to go down and kind of smurf yung NXT? Or does it elevate both either the championship or the champion? So what do you think, Emile? What is your answer to this?
I'm gonna agree with the second point, which main stars going down to NXT and winning the title elevates the title. I mean, look at the North American Championship, diba? And it's been now featured on WWE TV ever since Dominic won the title. Plus, you can see other wrestlers on the show on NXT now. They want a shot at the title because they know if they can beat Dominic, that's gonna elevate themselves because they beat someone from the main roster to win the title. So ganun yung thinking ko when it comes to main roster going down to NXT. Same with Becky Lynch. Whoever can beat Becky Lynch for the NXT title, it's gonna be elevated after winning the title. So it only benefits, I think, the title in itself, and it also benefits the wrestlers who's going to compete for those titles, knowing the champion is someone who's credible.
Yeah, I'm going to agree as well. Like, I don't really think NXT is a lesser championship. Because for one, look at the competition in NXT. Like, if you think that NXT is a small deal, you're likely not watching NXT. Because you just think that it's developmental, it's the farm league. But it's not. Like, a bunch of the NXT guys, especially Tiffany Stratton, are legit. And the only reason why they look less than legit is because they're not Raw or SmackDown, diba? And at the same time, on that logic, how are you gonna bring Becky down to NXT and have her lose, diba? Especially when it's the only championship that she hasn't won yet. So I think it elevates the championship. If we're trying to have NXT as kind of a third brand, parang okay din naman yun. There is a main roster star who not only won the championship, but thought that the developmental system championship was a championship worth fighting for, diba? If it was small time, then they wouldn't have bothered with it in the first place. Like, what am I gonna do with this championship? It's from the minor leagues. So, and Becky, most of all, understands this because she was from that same system, and she didn't win that championship when she was in that system. So yeah, Albert's right. The only reason they look less legit is because they run shows at the CWC every week. But we know you and I listening to this episode, we know that they've packed legit arenas, basketball arenas, not a football stadium just yet, but they have packed big arenas beyond the Full Sail or CWC. So what do I feel about this? Do I think it's unfair? No, I think it's good. It also gives a rub to whoever is going to beat Becky again, whether it's Tiffany Stratton, which I think is going to happen because it's the Dolph Ziggler Braun Breaker thing happening all over again. Because I don't think they're going to bring Tiffany Stratton up just yet. So I think one of the milestones of her journey. And I don't know how Becky's going to lose, but she is beatable, diba? And I think it's only going to increase the prestige of that championship even more. Like, it's a developmental brand, but yes, they have had legit main roster stars going after it, and that really helps in the long run. Emile, who do you think is going to beat Becky eventually for this championship?
Right now, the strongest contender has to be Tiffany because they've been building her up lately. She's been also appearing on Raw lately as well. So, not that I think this is gonna be a call up, pero they're gonna be in a few days. So it has to be Tiffany as of this moment. Even though malakas yung women's roster ng NXT, and I believe anyone can legitimize themselves by beating Becky, but as of right now, I'll go with Tiffany as well.
Yeah. Yun. Ina says Lyra Valkyria by virtue of being a fellow Irish wrestler and being an experienced female wrestler. Meiko, God, I miss Tita Meiko.
Yeah.
Where is she? She's probably training the girls at a performance center and the guys. So yeah, a bunch of people who are worth it. Blair Davenport, yes, that's a good choice as well. Really intense. A lot of people who can beat her. And then whoever that's going to be is going to have a good rub from beating the man. Diba? So it's only good for everyone involved. Right. Let's talk about the Usos, who are now separate. So there's an interesting thing. So I think they did well in making them feel like separate entities, diba? Separate Anuwai entities, Fatu entities pala. So I can clearly tell now. I mean, I can really see Jay being his own guy on Raw, and then Jimmy is still sat over the bloodline on SmackDown. What do you think, Emile? Do you think that made clear distinction between both twins?
I think ever since yung bloodline, meron na din. Even though when they were still in the bloodline, may distinction na sila sa isa't isa. So
no, I'm not talking about looks. I'm not talking about looks.
Yeah, pero yung mannerisms and personalities and the way they carry themselves, I can now see them differently. Na Jay is this guy and Jimmy is this guy. Yung problem ko lang is they still kind of dress the same.
But the hair is different. I mean, Jay has frosted tips now.
Yeah, parang sila it reminds me of when the Hardy Boys first broke up and became single stars. Like, they would still wear their Hardy Boys
yung t-shirt na black.
Yeah.
But they were broken up because of the draft, not because of
Yun na nga eh.
Not because they broke up.
Yeah, pero parang like they, and then pero it's good that they got their own theme songs and they're on separate shows. So may chance doon to develop more as a single stars, both of them, without crossing each other's paths. So I can see singles potentials now for both. So kasi that when they first broke up, I always thought, they're gonna be back as a team in a year. I'll give it a year, then they'll be back as a tag team. Parang Hardys nga eh. Like, Hardys, they went and then they went back together then. So parang ganun yung way of thinking ko back then. Okay, they're gonna feud and then parang they're gonna be a time where they're gonna be separate. They're gonna have the reunion. They're gonna go back to attack team. Pero ngayon, if I can see the effort with both Jay and Jimmy to really try and become single stars, and I applaud them for it. So yeah, so may potential. As of right now, may potential pa lang. So, and they're really putting in effort in distinguishing themselves from one another.
Do you think it's weird they're not a team? Like, would you rather they be a team, or is it okay na ba tong ginagawa nila na okay, let's be our own men, so that people don't say which one are you, right?
I mean, siguro dream din nila na they get to be single stars on their own. Kasi they talked about wanting to main event WrestleMania someday as opponents. So you gotta applaud them for it. I mean, and yun nga, good yung changes kasi before all of this, before all the bloodline, I really can't see them as individuals kasi they both look alike. They're twins, nga, di ba? But now you can see the effort from both of them. So, I will give this a try, as a viewer.
Yeah, I think they're the first ever twin team who wanted to strike out as single stars on their own, right? Like whenever you have a siblings team, like especially if they're twins, parang they always want to be together kasi parang they've kind of formed their identity as twins, as being part of a twin team,
The Young Bucks
in wrestling.
Diba?
Yeah, well, the Young Bucks are not twins, dude. Matt is older. Nick is older than Matt.
But they're like they don't really strive to be individuals. Yung point mo, they always want to be stuck in a team.
Oh yeah, Glendale, right? The Bellas, right? Yeah, you're right. Albert says he wants to see more character than Jimmy other than the Bloodline lackey. I think that's still happening. They're cooking it really slow. I think it's not black and white now. Okay, Jimmy wants to come back to the Bloodline. I think there's also some nuance they're cooking in there. The problem is it's slow burning again. So we're going to see it play out over, I guess, the next few months. Which is okay then. Pero some of you I know are kind of you're kind of impatient now, lalo na it seems like Jimmy has turned his back on the character development that happened a few months ago, diba? I know Emile has feelings about that, pero I still believe that they are cooking something for that. Okay, I think we've said all we needed to say about the Usos right now. I enjoy Jay doing his thing. He's doing his work as a guy who is not trusted by the Raw locker room because he's been messed up by, they've been messing up Roman's contenders from the past. So that's cool. That's an engaging story. It's definitely better than what Jimmy's doing. Kasi Jimmy is still grappling with the effects of his initial break from the bloodline. Diba? So if Jay is going up against the world, as Glendale says, Jimmy's going up against the bloodline. So that's going to be interesting, but I want to see the Jay story play out a lot more. All right, last thing on WWE, Chad Gable. This week on Raw, the team of Alpha Academy and Tommaso Ciampa beat Imperium in a 6-man tag match. That is Chad Gable's consolation win after losing a really nice Intercontinental Championship main event last week. If you haven't heard our thoughts about this, please go listen to this week's Picks of the Week from the other day. Real quick. It's a real quick episode. So, okay, at this point, people love Chad Gable. A lot of people have been hip now to Chad Gable, to something that some of us, ourselves included, have known for years, right? Since the American Alpha days from NXT, diba? So, at this point, with all the organic groundswell of support behind Chad Gable, Emile, do you think that it's inevitable now that Chad Gable is the guy to win the championship from Gunther?
Now, yes, you can't make this. You can't make the same mistake twice. WWE, you can't do this again. Like I know Gunta is a great champion and all, but if you do this again, where because you're protecting the reign, you're gonna screw someone else organic momentum. That's gonna look bad. So yeah, it has to be Chad now, right? Like I'm changing my mind. I said last week I had a name in mind, pero now because I thought last week after nung match nung last week, the feud is done. Like Chad is gonna start a feud with another guy, and Gunter's gonna have another challenger. But it seems like they're going back to it. So now, the more I think, okay, I think they're gonna go with Chad Gable here as the one to dethrone Gunter. Kasi, andyan na tayo eh. Bumaba tayo sa point na may support na si Chad Gable eh. And he's already over, and people want to see him beat Gunter. So, diba?
Babyface producer Jasper has a lot of feelings about Chad Gable here. His pick of the week pala, which I think we should start including next time. Chad Gable met with Jason Jordan before the match, and he likes that throwback to the American Alpha days because Jason Jordan's in-ring career has pretty much kind of ended without him saying it. He's now a producer for WWE. He agents matches, so that's kind of sad. He didn't get the farewell that he deserved. Jasper says Chad needs this. Yeah, I think he does. Emile is right with what he said about WWE not gonna fuck this up. I do think the Ciampa random addition is a way to extend the tension that Chad and Gunther have. Kasi ginagatasan nila yung feud na to. They know what they have here. They understand what they have. And I don't think you could create that kind of same support for other people like they did with, I guess, accidentally that they did with Chad Gable. I hope it was accidental, but I also hope it was intentional because I hope that it's Triple H saying, Chad Gable's one of the best guys he ever signed to NXT, and he's working out really well the way Triple H expected it. Chad Gable is apparently a 20-year pro wrestling veteran. Who knew?
Wow, I'm very surprised to learn that.
Yeah, he apparently did the 2012 Olympics in London while being already a pro wrestler. So that's interesting. I didn't know you can do that. Wow. Yeah. So I agree that they shouldn't make the same mistake. I think there were a lot of mistakes. Hindi naman mistakes, pero a lot of things that you can learn. Not necessarily a mistake, but a lot of things to learn with the way Vince handled and protected Roman Reigns' a legendary 3-year reign. Diba? Like, you already have that. I said last week na the Gunther reign is a diet Roman Reigns reign. And I don't want it to be like that. So the way to make it not be like that is to have him lose a lot sooner than Roman did. Because you already broke the Honky Tonk Man's record. So I think it's time to do this. It's totally okay. People get it. People know that Gunther is a real deal. We know that he's appearing every week on Raw and wrestling a lot more than Roman did. So it's time to pull the trigger. Do that detour with Ciampa, then bring Gable back for Survivor Series, whatever, and then have him win. Diba? It's time. That emphatic promo that he delivered, where he said that he was going to win it for his kids, for himself. I think that's gold that you have in your hands. You got that big feel good moment that I think you should cash in on before it's too late. Diba?
Yeah, saka they have to main event Fastlane. Because again, I don't think we're gonna have a Roman match at the next pay-per-view. So, or PLE pala. So give them the spotlight. Kind of like what they did with Nakamura and Rollins. So it looks like Fastlane's gonna be another PLE na walang Roman or walang bloodline stuff. So, that's where you do it, I think. That's where you do the Chad Gable victory or possible victory.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Let's hope it happens, right? Sayang na kasi they really got something in their hands here. And I don't want them to waste it in the name of, there are some things that you have to give up when it comes to long-term storytelling, diba? So this has to be one of those things. You have to adjust it, be able to learn how to adjust it. All right. Before we go into AEW talk, let's take another quick break, our last of the stream, and hear from our fellow podcasts on the Pod Network. All right. Albert says maybe they just want to remove the honky tonk man. I heard from, I think, Kaz of the Masked Man show that Vince doesn't like the honky tonk man. Or I think it was Freddie Prinze that Vince doesn't like the honky tonk man for whatever reason. So yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe it is that. But it's weird that nobody tried to do that before. I think it was the closest. Santino, diba? Santino was the closest.
Yeah, Santino had a long reign.
Yeah, he had a long title run. Yeah. Right, let's move on to AEW before you run out of time. Bryan Danielson has announced on last Saturday's Collision that he is winding down his career because he promised his child Birdie, that he would start retiring when she turned 7, and she's 6 now, which is why he's decided to start winding down his career. So the first stop on the bucket list tour is a match versus one Zack Sabre Jr. at Wrestle Dream on October 1. So that's another big PLE week pala. You have No Mercy and Wrestle Dream. All right. I'll start here because I'm the big Bryan fan. I feel sad about this, but mostly because we were robbed of a good 3 years, I think 3 years at that of of Bryan's first retirement. So we could have had it for longer, but his body couldn't let him do that. And now I'm thankful for this last part run. And I think he's better than ever. He is he could be legit in his peak right now because he never got to wrestle this way in his WWE peak compared to now. Kasi what we're seeing now in AEW is the way he used to wrestle when he was main eventing Ring of Honor. And that's the one thing I always wanted to see from him in WWE and we never got that because WWE is a different environment and you got to wrestle a different way for whatever reason because Vince was in charge before. So it's sad, but also I understand because sometimes you just gotta step away and walk away before your body gives up on you, because it will if you keep wrestling long enough. And I really like the idea of this match versus Zack Sabre Jr. It was supposed to be the match from last year's Forbidden Door event, and we're finally getting it. I don't know if it's going to live up to my expectations, but I think it will because it's Bryan Danielson and ZSJ after all. Emile, what do you think?
With Bryan, in the last couple of years, hindi ko na din na-feel na full-time na siya eh. Kasi he's gonna have a program and then he's gonna leave for a few months and he's gonna be back for another program. So parang ganun yung schedule niya eh. So for me, hindi na siya full-time. Parang he's on that edge schedule as well. Na he's gonna come back whenever he has a program. And I'm okay with him saying that he's got this one last run, one last year. Kasi at least he'll get to end his career on his own terms rather than the way it ended no first retirement niya, which was really out of nowhere. Yeah. And speaking of, on that match with CSJ, I am actually glad that ngayon lang siya mangyari because 7 years ago, I don't think it would be as good. Kasi I don't think CSJ was main event caliber a few years ago. Even though he's like a main event.
Big words.
Even though he's a technical. No, nung mga panahon na before Suzuki Gun days niya. Na he was a technical wrestler na, pero aside from that, what else can he bring? Pero now he's a much more better wrestler, all-around wrestler, and he has that main event. I don't know. He's at the main event RNA. So I'm glad that this match is happening now at this moment on October 1. Kasi that it's really the perfect time for them to meet. Kasi mas evolved na si CSJ and Bryan is still Bryan. So I'm glad it's happening. I'm glad it's happening on October 1. Yeah.
All right. Glendale says it will be a technical match. Yes, pero I think you know, Glendale, that Zack Sabre Jr. and Bryan Danielson have very different technical styles.
Yes.
ZSJ works at a much different technical pace. Mas World of Sport yung style niya. And if you've seen World of Sport, that stuff is really, really fast catch wrestling, while Bryan Danielson is a more deliberate technical wrestler. So I want to see who is going to dictate the pace of the match. Yeah. All right. Next in our AEW itinerary is the story of one Jade Cargill, who is apparently leaving AEW and headed to WWE. What do you think of this, Emile?
In a way, kind of surprised. Kasi before I heard the reason why, there was a reason why she didn't go to WWE. So like, I forgot the reason, but I think it
was because they wouldn't let her take time to be a working mom. So and that and parang they weren't yet supportive of her dreams to be an actress.
Yeah. So probably something changed down the line. Either siguro the WWE, they have softened their stance on this. That's why meron ng agreement at least on her and WWE's part. So I think na-reach na din niya yung ceiling niya sa AEW I think. Kasi she is much more fit with the mainstream attraction that WWE has. So it's a surprising move na she's leaving AEW, but at the same time, it's a no surprise as well na she's heading to WWE kasi doon talaga siya I think magsha-shine eh. She's like she's unique in AEW, but in WWE she's gonna fit like a glove.
Yeah, I agree. I think then that the WWE system, obviously, I don't know. I don't know if she's going to NXT. Kasi she's a big star now in AEW, whether AEW fans like it or not. She's a big star. And it's possible that she gets transferred straight away to the main roster. Pero if I were her, kasi I would still go down to the Performance Center and learn some things. Kasi even though I think she's okay, there are still things and reps that she has to do. So maybe she could be the big indie signing of the year. So, who knows? But I do think that WWE is okay as a destination for her. I think AEW needed her a lot. And I think that AEW could have still benefited from having her. But at the end of the day, I know that she wanted to go to WWE first. That's the whole thing that's the thing that she wanted to do when she first became a wrestler. So it really is one of those things. And it really is a dream for a lot of people as well. So, I can't wait to see her in WWE. Right, before we close the episode, Grand Slam 2023 is happening next week. And there are 5 advertised matches. Let's run through them really quickly. First is the rematch between Darby Allin and Sting versus Christian Cage and Luchasaurus. I don't think AEW and Tony Khan expected that Christian would become a meme at this point. And I think that is a lot more exciting and interesting and funny than whatever Edge was doing. Like, Edge is great, but Christian is funnier. So I think because of this, Christian and Luchasaurus have to win.
I'd actually go with okay.
But they're always winning though. Darby and Sting.
Yeah. Naalala ko pala nung All In nanalo sila Darby. So yeah, Christian and Luchasaurus as the win here.
Yeah. Right. Next up, we have Jon Moxley versus Rey Fenix for the International Championship. It's going to be a fun match for sure, but syempre Mox is the guy to win this. They're
going to cook though. At least they're going to
they're going to cook for sure.
So, but Moxley still will retain the title.
Yeah. Okay, next we have Saraya versus... No. Claudio Castagnoli versus Eddie Kingston. It's a title for title match. Claudio is putting up the ROH World Championship while Eddie is putting up the NJPW Strong Openweight Championship. So the thing here is who is deciding the fate of an NJPW championship. Diba? So I don't think NJPW is going to let Tony Khan decide this. And I think then that Tony Khan is, ready to give Eddie his flowers. So I think Eddie will become the double champion here.
Same thing. Eddie's gonna win, but I don't want this to be his like grand moment of
But
celebration.
it's New York, though.
Because
It's New York. It's his home crowd.
I still think he has to win the AEW World Title at some point. Like,
yeah.
yes, he's gonna win the title.
At some point, no.
I don't want this to be his ceiling. Like this is only
I don't think
a
it's gonna be
chapter
his
to his story. Okay, got it. All right. Kasi
Oh.
baka ganun yung mangyari na they're gonna have him win the ROH World Title. Tapos yun, they're gonna okay na yun kasi he already won the World Championship. So,
No, I think it's one of those things na, okay, journey muna, diba? So you gotta prove,
diba?
I mean, Eddie kasi has proven to be volatile as well in the past. So I think this is him making a stop on his redemption journey and building up his credibility again, backstage, not in the ring.
Okay,
Next,
okay. So
Saraya versus Toni Storm for the women's championship. I know it's still early, but I want to put it back on Toni because I think she has struck gold with this new gimmick, this new character. And I think the Saraya win was just as a thank you for coming back and then, wrestling in front of her UK crowd, home crowd in the UK. Glendale, I think the Outcasts have split with Toni Storm as of today's Dynamite.
So duo na lang sila.
Yeah.
Sila ni Saraya and Ruby. Same. I when Saraya won nung All In, I really thought she was just gonna be a transition champion to someone, and parang they they don't want to have Saraya lose. Toni Storm lose to Saraya muna, so they had Shida, to win the title, for Saraya to win the title. So I think it's gonna go back to Toni Storm. Again, because this new character is really gold, and nakuha na niya yung momentum niya. So I'll go with Toni for the win. It's Toni time again.
Yeah, it is Toni time. Saying hey to Chia for dropping by. His cookies are the bomb. If you remember the cookies we gave away last year, that's all care of him. Please go follow Cookies by Chia on Instagram and order 250 pesos for box of 8 cookies. That's a lot, man. And
that's a lot.
They're all high quality as well. He ships all over Metro Manila. So impromptu endorsement because I really love his cookies. Next, the main event of this show, MJF versus Samoa Joe for the AEW World Championship. Joe was the guy who won the tournament. And he did win the tournament, diba? I was saying, no.
He did.
He did already? No,
Earlier.
He beat earlier.
That was the finals. That was the finals.
I haven't finished. Sorry, I wasn't finished watching the show when we came on. My bad. Huli ako. So MJF versus Samoa Joe. And it could have gone either way, really, because they did a good job of building up both Roddy and Samoa Joe. And I know that Joe isn't winning this because I think the championship is saved for Adam Cole, which is sad because I really want Joe to win this.
So yeah, same thing here. Joe is nothing more than he's vital to the story, pero he's not gonna win the title anytime soon. Honestly, mas interested ako with what will happen in the story. Like the match is gonna be good, pero what will happen after is what I'm watching for. Like, what is gonna go down? Kasi honestly, after All In, medyo nawala yung momentum nung storyline ni Cole and MJF. Like it's all over the place.
That's by design though. So they're milking the tag team. So you gotta delay it a little bit with detours and heat it back up, put it back in the microwave when it's time.
So I want them to heat it up again. So MJF for the win.
Oh, you want it already? But the Adam Cole and Roddy stuff is pretty funny.
Yun nga eh. So parang naguluhan na ako eh. So I want them to like get back on that track and have MJF win and then continue the Adam Cole MJF story.
Yeah. Sige. We'll see. I think they're gonna have to deal with Roddy first before they continue their own story, because I think
Yeah.
also still have to lose the ROH Tag Team Championships.
Oo nga pala, yeah. They still have those
Yeah,
titles.
you remember that they're still the champs. All right, that's it for our Grand Slam predictions. That's also the end of our topics for this week's live stream. But Chempler, we still have the audio only part of the episode. Or we might try something different with that next week. So stay tuned to that. Right. If you have made it to this point, this is the audio only part of this week's episode. We have a bunch of things to talk about. First of all, something I left out accidentally, predictions for Grand Slam. It is Sammy Guevara versus Chris Jericho, which is something get it out of their system match before they challenge for the AEW Tag Team Championship. So this is a great story, actually. They found a way to tie it in from the whole Pillars thing. That was the whole Jericho versus Callis story, the whole JAS breakup thing. I gotta admit, it has been pretty well told, and I think Jericho is the guy behind it, and not necessarily Tony Khan, because I don't think Tony Khan is there, or maybe Brian Danielson, because the stories have been getting better. And I like it so much. They did a really great segment on Dynamite kanina where they pretty much established their relationship. They're more now than just, Sammy is now more than just a kid that Jericho signed on the first day of Dynamite. Diba? So they established why they should have this match, because Sammy wants Jericho's respect as someone who's not just a sidekick, and someone who is a good fit to eventually become a main eventer in AEW. So those are all really good story beats. And I think that Jericho has to lose, because I know that they want to do this match in on a bigger stage. So, sorry, Jericho has to win, rather. Jericho has to win because they want to do this. They want to blow this off on a bigger stage. So when Jericho wins, Sammy Guevara gets a bigger match, and then that's when he wins.
Same thing, same way of thinking here. I feel like this should be a match for Full Gear, which is the next big event of AEW. So Jericho has to win here so that yung journey ni Sammy towards winning over Jericho and finally being, his own guy, para ma-establish yun. And there can be a story with that, and that's gonna eventually conclude with him going over, pero not now. Jericho has to win this match. So I'll go Jericho.
All right. That's it for the last Grand Slam match that I forgot. Next, we are talking about WWE. So Edge is apparently not going to AEW. So the rumors are saying that he accepted a new deal with WWE, but it's not as a active wrestler. So he was on the alumni page, and then they pulled him off the alumni page. So the thing I'm hearing is that Edge is going to be a special character, special attraction that they trot out every now and then. I don't know if that means it. Well, he didn't say to him that the Toronto match was his last ever. It was just the last match in Toronto. Diba? So he's not fully retired, but I think he's now on the level where Undertaker was before 2020, where he's just now showing up every now and then eventually he's going to have a retirement match. So do you think this is a good move for him? Did he waste an opportunity by not signing with AEW?
In a way, parang especially if you consider how great Christian's run so far has been in AEW, parang may part of me na sayang. He could have done things. He could have faced more. We could have had more fresh matchups with Edge in AEW. But at the same time, you got to consider his age as well. He's going 50 now, and okay na yung he's still earning his money, but he's not doing as much. Like he got his deal. He got his deal, diba? He got that mega money deal where he doesn't have to do much. So, you really can't blame him for taking that deal. So I'm okay with it. Kasi, Edge will always be synonymous with WWE. Like, I really, with other guys, kasi you could associate them with other companies, but with Edge, kind of like with The Undertaker, like, his name will always be synonymous with WWE, and I'm okay with him staying and be I know part-time like wrestler, kind of like what the Undertaker was again, like you said, and Triple H was before he retired last year. So I'm fine with it.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. Hold on, I wanted to see people in different environments, and I felt like there was a whole bunch of opportunities waiting for him in AEW, even if he wanted to be like a special attraction in an AEW, because syempre, he can't always be bumping like 52 or 50 something weeks a year, diba? I think he would have been the shot in the arm that AEW always needs, because they're also having a tough time maintaining a main event scene that's consistent. So I don't know. I wanted to see how he would have approached it. Maybe this is them swerving us a little bit. Maybe this is Edge swerving us a little bit. I hope so, because I wanted to sign with AEW and reunite with Christian. So I'm holding out hope. Pero kasi I was kind of disillusioned with the whole Undertaker thing, where he was stuck in a limbo of will he or won't he retire. So I really don't want that for Edge. Right, next we move on to NXT. The biggest thing that happened on NXT this week, other than Becky Lynch winning the championship, was Wesley leaving and getting out of Dodge after losing to Ilya Dragunov in a number 1 contenders match for the NXT championship. So this is interesting because normally when people leave NXT, that means they're getting called up. But I don't think Wesley is getting called up. And I also don't think he's leaving the company either. So I don't know what this means. I think this is just one of those hero's journey things where you get down and then you recuperate and regroup somewhere and then come back to redeem yourself. What do you think about this, Emile?
I actually think this is a swerve. He's gonna turn heel.
Okay, he's gonna come back at No Mercy. Tapos gonna fuck everyone up.
He's gonna deck the champion. Like, I know we have another topic after this, but I feel like I'm definite now that a heel turn will happen at No Mercy. It's either Wesley or
the other guy.
Our next topic.
Next guy. So let's move on to the next topic. So if not Wesley, it seems like it's Trick Williams, because I think NXT is telegraphing a bit of a Trick Williams turn. And it's one of those things that you could argue in a red herring siya kasi, you're misdirecting. Like what Emile said, na you think it's Trick, but it actually could be Wesley, right? So I don't know. I also am willing to see where this goes, right? I do think that Trick is a good heel, but I also don't want them to do the old trope of the best friend turning on the more successful friend, right?
Yeah.
So, what's your take? So you think it's Wes?
Yeah, because I don't want it to be Trick, kasi it's a Vince thing, eh. Like breaking up a tag team, then the less popular one will. Even though you could argue, if you've been watching NXT, Trick is gaining some momentum lately.
Yeah.
He's been getting over on his own. So I don't want. First of all, I don't want them to break that momentum, and second, that is such a Vince thing to do that. Breaking up a team and then but via heel turn by one of the persons in the tag team. So mas naniniwala ako na red herring yung Trick rather than the Wesley one. Because again, I've been noticing a lot lately na nagiging na si Wesley. He's been getting more desperate to get back on that on a title or something. So parang ang magiging endgame nun is he's gonna mess things up. He's gonna be a heel now. Kasi yun din naman yung papunta eh. Like, in his feud so far with Melo, even though they're both faces, he has been the de facto heel. So I think ganun yung mangyayari. So it's more likely that West is gonna turn the Trick.
Right. Yeah, we'll see. But so we know someone is turning heel because somebody has to. Because when you think about it, everyone surrounding Carmelo Hayes is a face.
Yes.
So that's interesting. Next, our last topic. The Global Heritage Invitational is really cooking. I just wanted to take the time to praise this because it's so much fun. I keep saying on Discord na walang tapon yung mga matches. GHI. It's called the GHI. They picked like 8 of the best mid-carders, including Akira Tozawa and Butch, who is really good. And just cranking out 12-minute bangers or sub 12-minute bangers, right? And it's really, really good. Like Axiom has been the breakout. Well, breakout because everyone knows Axiom is good, but Axiom is out here delivering great matches every week. And I want them to do this every year now because it's just that good. It's an excuse to put on the mid-carders and have them do good matches in 12 minutes, right? I don't care if people are going to say, oh, now they're copying G1 and the N1 ng Noah when they do it every year. But who cares? It's a good wrestling. just fucking do it.
Yeah, diba? And like I said at the beginning of this tournament, I'm excited for this tournament. And thank God that your expectations ko, they have been meeting my expectation and exceeding it. Kasi this was better than the first time they did this format, which was yung Cruiserweight nung 2020. This is so much better. So much better wrestling overall. And even the way that they schedule the matches, parang talaga G1 because they're reserving the biggest match at the end of the block of matches, which is Tyler Bate versus Butch. So so next year, why not bring it back again and maybe expand the field a little bit, make it. I know it's not really parang magiging logistically.
Yeah, it's gonna be impossible. Pero
to do the 10, but expand it to 6. Diba?
Yeah, I can see them doing 6.
Yeah,
and then make it a month long. Right?
Yeah, diba? Yeah. May level up naman sila eh. So
yeah. You guys should go watch it on Level Up as well. Yeah. It's been really good. Like Tozawa versus Duke Hudson from 2 weeks ago was good.
Yeah, so they should bring it back every year. This is their version of the G1.
Yeah, fucking do it. Yeah, I don't care if it's only for a mid-card championship. Like, who cares? Put it together. Like, bring back Apollo Crews for it or something like that. So Riddick Moss, whoever. People you don't use on the main roster, but you drafted on the main roster. Like, I really like the idea of adding Tozawa and Butch here. Like, that was the best move that they could do.
Kasi diba, yung mga tournaments like these, you don't really need the storyline is the tournament. You don't need the storyline ending in. Diba? So, have the wrestlers who aren't really doing anything and just let them cook because, good wrestling is always good wrestling no matter what.
Yes, hayaan nyo sila magluto.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really want to see more of this. Like, I hope they do it again soon.
Predictions
next year.
Who do you think is going to win this?
Well, no, I think we got to predict who is going to win each block first.
Yeah.
I think block A is either Butch or Tyler Bate.
Yeah, it's going to go down to those two.
I actually don't know who is on block B.
Si Joe Coffey, si Nathan Frazier, Tozawa, and Hudson.
Yeah, right.
Joe Coffey is leading right now. Pero that could change. May hindi pa sure win si Joe Coffey.
I think it's Nathan Fraser because people, they love Fraser over there. They just want to give him an excuse to win again. But I don't think he's winning the final. So if it's Tyler Bate or Butch versus Nathan Fraser, it's going to be the A block winner.
Yeah, A block winner. Because we just had Fraser versus Noam Dar.
Yeah,
recently. So I think it has to be someone new to challenge Noam Dar. So yun din yung hula ko. Whoever wins from Pete or from Butch or Tyler Bate, that's gonna be the one who's gonna win the entire thing.
Yep. All right. That's it for our audio only topics for this week. Thank you for tuning in. And before we go off the air and let babyface producer Jasper go, let's get some plugs. Emile, do you have anything to plug?
May
stream ka ba ulit?
This weekend, I'm not sure kasi, may it's fiesta sa city namin. And, but, the next coming weekends, maybe I will do NBA 2K24 stream. I just stream some gameplay. I don't play my career anymore kasi it's a waste of money. But other modes, I'll be I'll be streaming, the Mamba challenges, my NBA eras. So, just watch out for that in my my personal Facebook page.
Right. Glendale says, I forgot about Sammy Guevara versus Chris Jericho. Yeah, it's at Grand Slam. We'll talk about that in the audio only na lang kasi I forgot. It wasn't on the Wikipedia for some reason, but I did watch the segment, and it's a pretty good segment, by the way. All right, for me, got a bunch of things to plug here. First, we did a post-show recaps episode. Me and Sam, we talked about the last week's episode of Heels, which is the penultimate episode for season 2. So please go check that out if you are all caught up. Because if you're not, syempre, spoiler alert. If you are not caught up yet, please stay tuned because it will come legally to Philippine shores via the streaming platform Lionsgate Play. So Lionsgate Play is pretty cheap. If you can just sign up to go watch Heels on it because it's only 8 episodes for both seasons. So it's going to come soon. I'll let you guys know when it premieres, and you can go watch it for free and without having to go through shady torrent sites, if you will. So yeah, we really had a lot of fun talking about TV shows, that TV show, and I really have a lot of fun talking about TV shows. So I hope I get to do that again eventually. And syempre, a new episode of Unmasked is out today. It's also the final episode of season 1. We do a question and answer portion because we asked you guys some questions a month ago. We collected them and we talked about myself and, talked about topics that weren't, part of the chronological story of my career. So you want to learn more about me, let's close the season together by watching that. Syempre, listening to that rather, and watching the video on Spotify. All right. We also cannot forget MWF Action Novela TV on Rock of Manila. And next Monday, we have a new episode, 9 p.m. It's going to be the first hour of the Road to Fate main card. So stay tuned for that. I know I have to watch it as well because I wasn't there. Emile can vouch for how great it was.
It was.
So please stay tuned. Please watch it because syempre, you want to keep wrestling, especially Pinoy wrestling on TV. If you can't watch it on Mondays, there's a replay on Thursdays, and I know there's a replay on weekends. So please also support MWF. Tuloy Ang Laban is happening next week on Sunday, September 24 at Mandala Park. Tickets are only $450 and Mandala Park is a great venue. Let's just hope na hindi siya ulanin masyado. So, especially given the weather right now. So, great action, great wrestling. If you haven't experienced the live wrestling experience yet, or you haven't experienced it in a long while, it's a good time as any to go and come over. Yun. That's it for this week's episode of the Wrestling Podcast. Thank you again so much to you guys for tuning in, whether you're watching on the stream or listening to it on Spotify or wherever you get your favorite podcasts. Thank you as well to our great babyface producers, especially Jasper and our team over at the Pod Network for helping put all of this together and making the show possible, and Jasper making us sound great, much better than we usually are, and keeping the show going as always and finding ways for us to keep it going. On behalf of our missing co-hosts, Chino, Rowan, ASH, and Stan, who you can follow at Chino Supersized, at Monday Night Rowan, and at _Stan C. We have Emile at EML_Meister, and myself at Roazwar. And you can follow the Wrestling Podcast at Wrestling2XPod on Twitter and TikTok, at Wrestling Podcast on Instagram and Threads. Finally put it up when the hype was gone. And the Wrestling Podcast on Facebook and YouTube. Go catch all of our content there. We have gone viral over the past week for 2 things. So my notifications are blowing the fuck up. So yeah, on behalf of everyone who is a part of the team, we thank you, and we bid you adieu. Please stay safe. Please be healthy. Don't be a dick. Be nice and stay dry and warm. Wrestling Podcast out. Peace.
The opinions of podcast creators, hosts, and guests are not necessarily reflective of the official stance of the Pod Network Entertainment, its hosts, or other network programs. The content created by the people behind the podcast is personal and